What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1.
And as always, we are back to answer more questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. That is what good old OM Typhon Ops did. He asks, I know from the lore that most Chaos Space Marines have their bodies changed by Chaos. Plague Marines get all blooded up, have their tentacles, flesh, and plants growing out of them. Noise Marines get disfigured with fangs or their metal soundbox mouths and self-mutilation wounds. From what I get, Khorne Berserkers get more massive, fused with steel around, and get more demon-like physique. And the followers of Tzeentch get wings and also some demon features. They get a bunch of eyes, too, sometimes. Mm-hmm. But what happens to the Chaos Marines of Chaos Undivided? Are their bodies altered in any way? Yes.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as you devote yourself to chaos, whether it's a god or just undivided, yeah, the warp and the chaotic energies infuse into your physicalness, and they start representing the chaoticness of the warp upon you.
The most ubiquitous mutation of all Chaos Undivided is spiky bits. Mm-hmm. So you'll see they'll have like little horns popping up where the little studs should be. For all those that don't know, when you see a Space Marine with like studs on their forehead, it's not something that gets connected to their helmet like most people believe. It's actually a sign of rank. So it's quickly to just look at a person's forehead, see that they have, however many little studs on their head, and then, okay, that's a captain, that's a whatever. But instead of that, you have horns. I think the best warband to take a look at when it comes to chaotic mutations is Word Bearers, because they are Chaos Undivided, mm-hmm. And they're very mutated. Whereas like other Chaos Undivided warriors, like the Iron Warriors, the Alpha Legion, most of the fan art really showcases their armor mm-hmm. changing a little bit, but that could be cosmetic. It's not really mutations. Right. Whereas with the Word Bearers, they get fangs. They get weird things with like their like the cheek part of their mouths goes away, so it's just like you could see their teeth even when their mouth isn't open. It's gross.
Yeah. Their pupils usually either become bright red or just all black, no pupils. Yeah. It's weird little quirky things like that they tend to get instead of getting, like you said, pus, tentacles, horn. Well, they get horns, but yeah.
And then one thing to keep in mind, too, and something that you'll see in the books a lot, is that when a Chaos Space Marine is around anybody else, there's just an uneasiness to them. Kind of think of it like the blanks mm-hmm. of Warhammer 40K, where, like, if you are a null, so you're not sending out a psychic presence in the warp, you usually make other people feel uncomfortable. And you're just not liked. Mm-hmm. And Space Marines, or Chaos Space Marines, especially Undivided Chaos Space Marines, take that to a whole new level. And like whole regiments of Imperial Guard would just feel uneasy, even if there's just one Chaos Space Marine leading like the traitors.
Right.
So on top of physical mutations, you also have just like metaphysical mutations, if that's what you call it. I don't know what it's called.
Spiritual mutations.
Mm-hmm.
Eczema mutations.
Eczema.
What are those bumps on your face?
It's eczema.
Vine, why did you have to leave us?
What's up, Instagram? I've been thinking about starting a TikTok because there is a lot of funniness going on in my head. And I think TikTok is like the place to go for like Vine-esque videos. But then again, like the Warhammer community or the 40K community on TikTok isn't really even there. I think there's like 1 or 2 people on TikTok. But if you guys would comment down below if you guys even have a TikTok and if you guys would like to see that kind of content, or else I guess I could just put it on Instagram. It's just on Instagram you don't really see like goofiness like you did on Vine. Whereas on TikTok, you always see goofiness.
TikTok cringe streams?
Yep.
This next question is by Gideon Kreider. So there are are there chaos corrupted orcs? And if so, wouldn't it make most sense for Khorne to be it? Or would Nurgle be more scarier?
In terms of scariness, I think an orc is an orc, so like you're going to be scared regardless. Mm-hmm. But a Nurgle orc is more un-orky than a Khorne orc.
Right. But I think there's official. I don't know if it's official or not. But I think I remember seeing it in the Codex. Nurgle orcs, yep. With like horns and like
pus.
Yeah.
So check out our 40 facts on Chaos Orcs. We did a whole 40 facts, and we go through each individual Chaos God and how they affect the orcs. One of my favorites is, of course, the demons of what's his name? The Demon Killer.
Tuska Demon Killer?
Yeah. So that guy, he is in the warp. He is in Khorne's realm, and he's constantly being resurrected to fight the generals of Khorne's army, kind of like as a way to make sure that his generals are up to speed with like the latest baddestness. So yeah, that's my favorite. But yeah, there are Nurgle. Tzeentch even has some Khorne or some orcs. Tzeentch Khorne thingies.
That's funny, just to see like a orc with a book. It says, "You gon' dies, Umi." It says so right here.
And it's just like a piece of paper that says die.
Yeah.
Next question. I have one from, let's do
Mr. Swine Flu 101. Whatever happened to the Skavens? So Skavens were never really a thing in 40K. They have a similar counterpart by the name of the Smelt Rats.
Yep. The Smelt Rats are kind of interesting because they are scientifically empowered, not even scientifically, I'll say mechanically empowered rat race that lives in the Underhive. And not every single Underhive has these. But yeah, check out our 40 facts on the Smelt Rats to learn more. There are also other alien races that kind of resemble the whole idea of the Skaven. The Tyranids are kind of like that, but with the Tyranids, you don't really have chaos. Whereas with the Skaven, you do. They worship
the Great Horned Rat.
Yeah.
And that's talking about Age of Sigmar Skaven. Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, like the Rackle are more like them, and then there's another one. It's not the Hrud.
No. The Hrud are the ones that like influence time around them.
And they're like short, right?
Yeah.
They look kind of like...
They look like pieces of trash.
But yeah, so Skaven never really existed, like you said.
Yeah.
Nor would it ever. Next question comes from Hellraster. If the Emperor is becoming a chaos god, would the living saints be one of their greater demons? Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, chances are that's what makes the most sense. And the Legion of the Damned would be like their lesser demons because they're just regular Marines.
Yep.
This one's by Daryl Silva. Do you guys think that the Tau will ever have their own god or gods? Could their belief in this greater good ever manifest into a warp entity? So this is a theory that's been long going throughout the Tau lorists. So ever since the Star-Tide Nexus incident that flew the Tau into the warp and they saw all this psychedelic colors and it caused them to go crazy and attack the Kroot. Most likely that's Tzeentch, but that might also be an inclination that, these Tau are actually starting to mess with the warp and chaotic entities that maybe perhaps their small signatures in the warp are starting to burn brighter, and thus they're going to be creating a god. Again, it's just a theory, but who knows?
Yep. I don't think I would want to see Tau get a god, though. I like the whole lore of like basically space communists, and then you have the offshoot of Farsight. And then if you are a Tau player, that gives you a lot of room to play with in terms of creating your own lore, especially because each sept world is so unique.
Right.
Whereas like if you were to throw in a god, it'd just be like, Yeah,
it's like, you get a god, and you get a god, and you get a god. There's too many gods going around. Yeah. It's like, at what point is a god just considered a goon?
Never. Next question comes from Desolation243. What if Gene Seed was modified to be used with female bodies? Would they be accepted? More importantly, could they bear children with other Space Marines? So, would they be accepted? Yeah, I think so. If you did alter the Gene Seed, so get rid of the whole lore on the Gene Seed and have female Space Marines, why wouldn't the Imperium accept like female Space Marines? They have the Scissors of Battle,
right? And they have accepted already different Space Marines, I guess, like
other chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing with Belisarius Call. He's like tinkering with the Gene Seed, which is already should be heretical.
Yep.
So I mean, if they're letting Primaris and Sisters of Battle, then I think the Imperium would allow it, especially since they're there to help and not to like make things worse.
And then you do say, would they be able to bear children?
Boom, check a wow, wow.
No, they wouldn't, because Space Marines can't nut. Because they got stuck in No Nut November. Mm-hmm. Are we still in November? No, right? We're in December now.
You've been missing out on some days there.
But yeah, so I more than likely the Gene Seed for the female Space Marines would make them. Is it still considered sterile?
They don't have the urge to reproduce. Their only thoughts and feelings are towards the betterment of humanity and the Emperor.
Can you believe that? Like, if you were like that, and every morning, instead of nutting one out, you just like got to work on time
or prayed. Heavens.
Yeah.
I mean, not heavens.
Thank God we're not in that world.
Thank who?
Oh. Next question.
This one's by Tassius. Are the Odin Achilles canon? Can you do a 40 facts about them? Odin Achilles.
I mean, technically all. Well, unless you mean there's a specific Space Marine chapter.
I think that's what he's referring to.
Okay, I don't know what that chapter is.
Right, because at first I'm like, yeah, I mean, they have them on their armor and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a chapter of Space Marines, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I hope it's not like the Reasonable Marines. The Reasonable Marines are probably the worst fan-made Space Marine chapter. The best, of course, is the Angry Marines, followed by the Pretty Marines.
Pretty Ricky.
Pretty Ricky. Next question. This will be the last question.
This one is by... Oh, I lost it. There it is. William A. How far do the effects of Alaskan go? Like, can it even scratch power armor or damage Wraithbone?
Yeah.
Judging by this edition, yeah. I mean, there's always a chance for any weapon to do damage, even if it's like on a 6+.
Yep.
But in older editions, that was not the case. So let's say your army was all like guardsmen and you go up against a Titan. Might as well give up because there's nothing you can do. Your guns would be so weak that it wouldn't even be able to put a scratch on it.
So like, let's say, because in previous editions, if the strength of the gun was
less than half,
yeah, then you couldn't do anything to it, which is obviously a ridiculous rule. Because of what you just said.
Right. Because lore-wise, it makes sense. But in-game, with the mechanics, no. Because it's like, if you're smart enough, you would literally just pick out the stronger strength guns and leave your opponent with basically just having to go into combat and just die.
Which is why, because I think that was 7th, right? That was 7th edition?
Yeah, they changed it in 8th.
Slowly, the lore, or the editions have been getting better, in my opinion. That's why 7th edition was so hated, though. So, well, a bunch of other reasons, too. But the next edition of 40K I'm really excited about, just because of how badass Age of Sigmar is. I feel like Age of Sigmar is like a testing ground for the next version of 40K. And Age of Sigmar is a lot of fun in terms of competitive play.
Yeah, because it's a lot more strategic. You got to plan ahead. With 40K, sometimes games are decided just by what army you're bringing or playing
against.
First
turn, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wish GW would pay more attention to certain gaming scenarios, like a strategic. What are they called? Strategies.
Stratagems.
No, not stratagems. But like the games that make you collect the objective markers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Those can sometimes get really, really boring, really, really quick.
Yeah, because you're just sitting on an objective all game, not moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
GW needs to pay attention to like scenarios and kind of do the same thing that they did with Age of Sigmar with the I think it's called General's Handbook. They should do that for 40K, which actually they might have with the supplements. I haven't checked out the supplements because I'm not a tool that's just gonna buy everything GW pulls out. But yeah,
because it's like every week it's like, oh, here's a new book. Oh, here's a 2019 index. Oh, well, just around the corner 2020 index. Oh, you're gonna need this supplement. Oh, 9th edition. You got to buy a new rule book.
How crazy would it be if January 1st they're like, oh, we're announcing the 2020 supplement or what's index, right?
Index, yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah.
But those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. If we didn't get to your question, ask again, and don't forget to thumb up questions that you thought were interesting, because that helps those people, sort of. Sort of. Never mind.
This has been the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out of here.
Always used to put my freedom first, and then